Hello, everyone. This is Cece, and we are here with another episode of Raw Honey. And I'm really excited today to speak with and introduce my other sister. I already have interviewed my first sister, and so as I've said before, this podcast and its fans are definitely family. Most of family, because family supports you, luckily, even when no one else seems to. So thank you to all my family fans and my family interviews so far. Yes, but this is Maggie. She is my oldest sister. And she's just going to talk about a little bit about herself, her hobbies, and then go into something difficult that she's gone through, how she's gotten through that, and we're just going to have a conversation about it. So, Maggie, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, as in depth as you want to go, your hobbies, your interests? Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me on the show. As she said, I am the other sister.
That sounded real. That sounds really bad. Now you say it that way.
I'm just kidding. I'm Maggie. I am the oldest of the three. For hobbies, I really like sleeping. Is probably number one. It's my favorite thing to do. Number two is eating.
Oh my gosh. You sound like that kid in freaking kindergarten that's like recess, PT, and nap time. Like that's you right now. Oh my gosh.
I am also taking singing lessons from my cousin, so I enjoy
And piano. Piano too, right?
Piano. I kind of failed that.
Oh.
I just I wasn't getting much better.
Oh, yikes.
No, it's because I didn't practice. It's not for any other reason. I'm going to get back to it. Yes, so those are my hobbies right now, as well as exercising and being outside. So that's what I like to do. A little bit about me. I am currently, I finished med school about a year and a half ago, and I am now working as a resident at a hospital and during a pandemic, which is a very interesting time to be kind of introduced into medicine. But, you know, it's definitely been just a learning experience and a time that you can support other people in some of their hardest moments. So It's been hard, but also very, very good to be able to give back in that way, I guess.
Yeah, of course. I can't even imagine how insane that environment must be for you guys. I can't even imagine it.
It's hard to imagine. Yeah, I mean, it's just a difficult time for everybody. So, wear your mask, and that's all we can really do. You know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But what is this? Now that we know a little bit about you, how does that lead into sort of your story or one of your many stories, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So I think that there are many stories of difficult times. I think everyone's life has many times where they've kind of had to grow up a little bit. One time that stands out to me in particular was when I did not get into med school the first time. So I was a senior, and I was applying and doing all the things and trying to keep up with all my friends, and being a doctor and going pre-med was just a huge part of my identity, and that was, who I was. That was what I told people about myself. I am pre-med. I am, going to med school. And so that, I think I was 21 when all of that kind of I was working on all of that. So that year I applied and I did not get in. And so I had to watch some of my friends around me get in, which I was very happy for them. Don't get me wrong. It's hard when you yourself are not having success, and it seems like everyone around you is doing well except you, and it really kind of makes you second guess yourself and who you are, and it kind of broke down my identity a little bit. So that was a one time that was difficult. So I remember there was also several other things going on at the same time, as well. So it was kind of like this was kind of the cherry on top of things. And I remember I just at one point I was just like, well, there is nothing I can do about this. And that was also kind of when I got more into my faith as well, because I just realized that all of these different identities that I had decided to put on myself were kind of stripped away, and I didn't know who I was anymore. So that is kind of the perfect time for Jesus as well, and he works well in those moments where you are a bit lost. He's there for the brokenhearted, and that was just kind of my season where I got to experience who Jesus thinks I am and who I actually am in him. So it was a very difficult time to go through, but also the best thing that's ever happened to me. So I really dug into my support system there at my university, and I studied hard, and I retook my exams, and I did better, and I ended up getting into a few other med schools in my state, and I also got into a Caribbean med school, which is it sounds good in theory going to the med school in the Caribbean, but it was something that was not my first choice, definitely. So it was, definitely a lesson of overcoming and a lesson of not relying on my own strength, but God's strength, and he was super faithful, and so that was something that was hard that I went through, but it's kind of helped define who I am today. I ended up choosing to go to the Caribbean school. I kind of I prayed about it, and I figured I felt like that was where God was leading me to go. It was quite an adventure, and it was definitely the scariest option, the one that scared me the most. But sometimes in life, the things that scare you are the ones that are going to help grow you. And so if you get the opportunity to do something that scares you, I recommend doing it, because you really figure out who you are and what you're made of.
What I noticed a lot that you talked about identity, and when do you think that you sort of adopted that identity of being pre-med, being a doctor, sort of that identity?
Yeah, I think it was, I think in life you're looking for something to grasp onto. You're looking for answers, and you're looking for something to stand on. And so I didn't have, I have an awesome family, and I have really great friends, but I was just looking for something to anchor myself to. And so that's where I found pre-med and, all these other things I was involved in. And I thought that would bring me the most joy, and that would fulfill me. And I was wrong. So I think I can still say that I'm wrong. If that was my anchor, then I would not be fulfilled, even as now a doctor. It's not a solid anchor to, I don't know the correct boat terms to
solid anchor to anchor to.
Yeah, just keep using
What?
anchor.
But when would you say in the stages of your life did you adopt that identity?
Probably in college mostly, and a little
Okay.
bit in high school. Yeah, just everybody always asks you what you want to be when you grow up, and
Mm-hmm.
so you just want to give them an answer that is, you know, so. And then you feel like when I wasn't able to get in that first year, I felt like I was letting everyone else down too, and so. Yeah, if you anchor to things like that, it's just unstable. And what I ended up finding out is that people love you for you, and they love you for the person that you are and how you treat others. And it has nothing to do with the career that you're in, or the money you make, or the status that you are. All they care about is, are you kind? Are you humble? Do you care about them? And it doesn't matter what your job title is. You can do that at any job title.
Yeah, it's sort of sad how elevated those main professions are. Like for some reason they've just been continuously put on a pedestal for probably centuries. Like lawyer, doctor, what are the other ones?
Teacher,
Professor.
policeman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of those just sort of academically intense pathways are so elevated to kind of just an unhealthy extent because it's just not there's not enough spots for everyone. So
No.
it's like I mean you have to create competition, so it's not like you don't want to filter out to get the best and brightest, but it's also just sort of can really crumble people when they can't hold on to that identity, which I mean everything's meant to be, so people get knocked down for specific times in their life and they're meant to get back up and they're meant to become different after that for whatever reason. So I think it's all meant to be, but it's still sort of bothersome that like so many young kids say they want to be doctors, and that's like an expected that everyone's expected to have an answer for those questions, like from age 4 years old until
Yeah.
20 plus or whenever you're in college. And it's just sort of exhausting because it puts so much of your identity into some profession that's usually external from your relationships, your family, your faith. And it just seems a little bit like not super, like the priorities of your identity seem a little bit off when that's the first thing that you say,
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm hoping, I mean, COVID's obviously been really horrible, but I think it's also given people the chance to come back to their houses, their families, their relationships that, are supposed to be forever. I hope that it's brought people back to that. If nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just made all of us slow down a lot and ask ourselves what was really important and how much of this other stuff that we were doing that wasn't important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important to have quiet time and alone time. And I know I'm very guilty of filling my schedule with so many different things that I don't have time for myself or for people that are important to me. So that is something I learned a lot during COVID, was to just slow down and figure out what was important.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't think a lot of people in the military really got that side of COVID. Like we all, if anything, worked more and worked like crazier hours. So,
Yeah.
but I think that I still was able to observe the effects of it in the most positive light that I could, and I hope that people are trying to benefit from it or trying to see some positive element of being at home more. Yeah, I hope that. people are feeling that a little bit.
Yeah, I think everybody learned something from COVID. I think we're all about done learning, and we'd like for it to be over.
Yeah, of course. Of course. So what would you say it was your faith that sort of helped you get through that time frame?
Yes, that is the only thing that helped me get through that time frame, as well as some really, really amazing people that got put in my life. And you guys, of course, my family.
Mm-hmm. How did those people help you get through?
I think they just, when different, like I said, it was many other things that, along with not getting into med school, that kind of got me to that place. And it all just happened at once. And so just having people around me that loved me and that could see me for who I really was and not who I thought I was, because the person I thought I was just not good enough, a failure, all these things that were just completely untrue. And so I was lucky that I had people to encourage me and recognize the fact that what I was saying wasn't true, and help me see myself the way they saw me and the way God sees me. So that was what those people did. And I am still friends with them, and very lucky that that's who I had during that season.
Yeah, of course. Of course. It's definitely, you definitely have to have supportive people around when you're going through that time. Sorry, Liberty literally always tries to sit on this chair with me, but she's too big.
Liberty.
Gosh, crazy.
Liberty.
She usually waits for me to call her up, but she just straight up jumped in this time. I'm like, okay. Hopefully this chair is allowed to have more than 200 pounds on it, because I'm pretty sure that's where we're at right now. But yeah, I'm trying to think of a time where I had an identity crisis like that, and how, like,
I think maybe like your sophomore year at West Point, maybe.
Yeah, there was, because I mean, I quit the track team. I changed my major too. I was just all over the place, but I was all over the place, but I was like, I started to come into my own at the same time, because I was done being like a full-time athlete. Like, I just was done with it. And I really wanted to study something in the social work world, something for the betterment of vulnerable populations. That's just what I was being called to. And so I changed all of that, and it was a lot more work because I had to redo my major credits and stuff. But I was so happy, and I knew that and then of course yoga became I started teaching, and I started getting my certification, and it all just made sense. So like the previous identity sort of went away, and the new one was definitely much more authentic to me, and yeah, it was definitely what was meant to be. Even though it felt a little bit like I was quitting or something. I was quitting on things that seemed harder. Like, oh, well, being a college athlete's harder, and you should stand because it's harder, and stuff like that. Like, I had to drop my pride with all that and just, be okay with being on the West Point Yoga Club and not the West Point track team anymore.
Yeah.
I was definitely happier, though.
Yeah, I mean, you had a really great transition, and I felt like by your junior year, you were really confident in who you were and your part in that school. So, yeah, I was really proud of you.
I feel like now this podcast is about me. It's turn the tables, and we're going to talk about me now. Yeah, I want to go back to, because I mean, I remember watching you, looking on the outside, I watched you go through that time, and I just became really anti med school when you went through that time. And I don't think it was necessarily because of you. I think and I didn't become anti-med school necessarily. I just became anti, like, med identity.
Pre-med for you.
Yeah, I became like...
You were thinking about it, and then you were like, no way.
Yeah, I just was like, I don't want to have this... I think that I chose to not have a super strong identity for the first time. And that's when I just let the identity sort of find me, if that makes sense. And I think that was a lot because I watched you and Lucy go through different, just shattering experiences on what you thought you were and who you thought you were. And I went through that to an extent too, but I think that I figured out earlier because I was able to watch you guys go through that. So I think a lot of my epiphany moments have happened earlier because you guys sort of experienced really hard stuff that I maybe just subconsciously learned from and was like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna put all my eggs in that basket, you know?
Well, as our father says, the best way to learn is from other people's mistakes. So I think you probably did that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I went to a school where everything was paid for and I had a job after, because I didn't have to really know any certain direction. I could just experience whatever I wanted to experience professionally and still have a job and continue to figure out what I loved and what I wanted to do and who I was. And I just didn't feel near the pressure that I felt like you guys were under. And that a lot of majority of young people are that are going into the professional world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did you see that too?
Yeah, I mean, the whole pre-med process right now is just insanely complicated and insanely hard. And it's a lot of loopholes to jump through, a lot of about who you know, and I think that a lot of people aren't applying anymore because it's so hard and it's so difficult. So I think there is a lot of pressure to pick a job and have an idea what you want to do, but sometimes that just takes time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to give young people the space to explore what that looks like. But it's also, I'm sure as parents, they want you to pick a major that you can feed yourself with, is what our dad would say too. There's a lot of pressure to succeed and to have that title of, oh, I did this, this, and this. So I think I would just encourage people to take off that pressure. And at the end of the day, the only person you have to satisfy is yourself and God, if you believe in God. And so just stop worrying about what everyone else thinks and figure out what it is that you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking into, like, just being really curious and looking into different, especially in those molding years, like post-high school, like, really looking into opportunities to find yourself and make money, of course, and save money. You don't want to just be a freeloader off your parents, but to make money and just figure out, like, who I am, what do I care about. Because I even think that I look back in 2 years of West Point, like those first 2 years, like, I don't even know. Like, I had no idea, like, what I was doing. I was just surviving.
Yeah.
Because I was like 18 when I went. It was just sort of the next step. I knew it was going to be an environment where I could figure out who I was. But those first 2 years, I was really just doing the same thing I did in high school, where I just kept doing everything I was supposed to do and just kept, like, putting my head down and working hard and driving forward towards, like, whatever. Like, I just had no direction at all. And I was really immature too. Like, I did not have like soft skills that I feel like would have saved me a lot of unnecessary trauma and heartache and emotional distress. And so I really wish that I would have taken some time after high school, maybe like 2 years, to, I don't know, take some classes at like maybe take some like art classes, take some classes and just figure out things I'm interested in, and be a little more brave to find a job that made good money, but was like more like exactly what I wanted to do. I mean, I think that I'm getting to that point now, but I kind of really admire those kids that like take time off after high school and just make money, but like let themselves figure out a lot of stuff before they dive in and start, taking on really huge loans when they don't even know what they're interested in. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think everybody has a different path. I think if you don't know what you want to do, then it's good to figure that out in a way that maybe doesn't waste a lot of people's time and money. I think there's no job that I personally wanted to do that didn't involve going to college, and so figuring that out while I was in college just made sense. But I think everybody's different, and I don't think everyone has to go to college. I think you just have to figure out what it is, what job-wise you want to do, and how to get there. So I think that takes a lot of introspection, which is really hard to do as an 18-year-old. So the career days and the different opportunities in high school, or shadowing, working, going and seeing someone do the job that you want to do and seeing what that's like. I think those are really important opportunities to discover what it is that you have a passion for.
Yeah, I wish that was something they did more in high school. Like, I just don't remember like a really big opportunity to do that in high school. Do you remember that?
We had a few times, but I think most of the time I just went and hung out with Dad, and I don't think I took it seriously at all.
Yeah, I wish there would have been more opportunities to like do internships and stuff, and just really see sort of the variety of skill sets that you can obtain. Yeah, I definitely hope that I can show my kids that the variety of ways to make a living and to love what you do, and I just hope they feel like an endless amount of possibilities with all that, and that it doesn't just have to be college, grad school, etc. Like, it doesn't have to be such a conveyor belt. It can be, a year of community classes, a year of like Peace Corps mission work, a year of, a couple years of college. Like, I really want them to make their own path and to feel like it's truly what they wanted to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I obviously loved my time in West Point, but I don't know. Sometimes I wake up and I like go to my job and we do crazy stuff, and I'm like, is this really me? Like, am I really doing this right now? Like, I still kind of feel like I'm mom and dad are like waking me up at 6 a.m. to go to practice sometimes. And it's like, it's a stepping stone for sure, and I'm really grateful for it. But I just want my kids to feel like they have a lot of options, and that they don't have to join the military or do something that pays them so that they can figure out what they like and who they are.
Well, I think you have a little bit of time to think about that, so I'm sure you'll come up with the right strategy.
I'm sure I will try, and then they'll probably want to do the opposite, and then I'll be really confused about everything, so.
Probably. That sounds pretty accurate.
Okay, well, it is about time to wrap it up. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about your story, what you've learned, anything?
I would just say that, I think right now in our culture it's not popular to love Jesus, but I think it is something that should change about our culture. So I would just encourage people, if it's something you're seeking, to join a church or to just look for ways to learn more.
Yes. There's definitely a lot of opportunities in just serving something greater than yourself, and that can take different forms, but I think getting into a community like that is definitely a pathway towards just, a much more strong identity and something that is not so, not flimsy, but what's the word?
Unsteady.
Unstable. I'm thinking of a different word, like fragile, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I was thinking of a word with a C, but I can't think of it.
With a C, he said?
Yeah, just a word with a C that is like another word for fragile kept coming to my head. I can't think of it right now. Crumbly.
Words are not my thing.
Crumbly.
Crumbly, that's a good one.
Okay, well, thank you so much for opening up with us today. It's mostly family that listens to this podcast and probably friends from high school. It's a very interesting blend, and people from college and stuff, so it's really
my
just...
friends listen to it too.
Yeah, really? Who, like Kaylin? I feel like some of your friends will like it. Kaylin, like some random high school friends. That is kind of cool. But thank you so much, and I'm so glad that both you and Lucy got to speak on the podcast. I want to try to interview Mom and Dad when I get into my couples session, so that will be very interesting. They will get to choose the questions they want to answer before, thank God, or else that would be that would be a toss-up. I would probably have to do a lot of editing or just write like some kind of trigger warning for people on the caption, like beware fighting and bickering is involved here. I don't know. I'm excited.
They do love each other. It is a very strong bond that they have.
Yes, they are both really hard-headed, so but yeah, I'm really excited to publish this and just show our friends and family a little more about your story so just to finish up here, just a shout out to Tribe, the incredible yoga nonprofit that I was able to co-found, still going very strong. They're starting a 200-hour in I think about a month, and so I'll be featured in that, talking about a couple different of my favorite yoga topics, to a mix of veterans, active duty, cadets, West Point, and civilians, so that's really exciting. And I'm sure Nomad, the partnering teacher training company, is also going to be involved in that. And also shout out to Ella, the incredible artist who makes stickers and just can really make you anything that you want. So just look at all that stuff below. And I'm excited to come to you guys with another episode. And I hope that everyone has a great day. Bye.